Whether you're commuting, chilling at home, or just taking a break, we've got you covered with the hottest news, fascinating guests, and the occasional surprise. Buckle up and get ready to get caught up with us.
Hello, 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 and welcome to another edition of GCU Homecoming Spirit Week. Woo! Hey, hey. Listen, listen, listen,
We want to party.
listen,
We
listen.
want to
Yeah,
party.
yeah. So listen, that little game that got me hyped up. I'm ready to go to somebody's
Yes.
ready to go to somebody's HBCU homecoming. Well,
Yes.
you guys, as you know, I am your host, Attain, and I am joined by my frenemy, Miss
Oh, she
Crystal.
talking about me.
Yeah,
See, we ain't that, so that's why I ain't answer right away. And I'm just a,
and look, she's like,
but
hey.
yes, it's moi. It's Crystal from Books and Soul. Hey,
Well,
let
y'all
me know.
know,
We've
to,
been spiriting this week.
yes, for real, for real.
We
And
have.
today is no exception. Today is actually Frenemies Day. So, of
Yeah.
course, we had to bring you some books for people who were like kind of sort of friends, but also enemies that we call frenemies to lovers. And so, kind of like they were in situations where they had to try to get along, but they really couldn't stand each other. But it was really because that old good sexual attraction was there as well. So, yes,
Well,
got
that was
two books.
yours. Mine is because they both came out of a situationship where they didn't want to get back into another situationship, but then things happen. So yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yep.
So today is day 4. It is Frenemies Day, and we have two books for you that we both picked that we feel like, hey, that we read represented a good frenemies to lovers story, right?
It does.
So yes, I'm excited. I'm excited. Now, because we couldn't quite figure out what we were gonna do, I was like, you know what? Let me just put on something representative of one of my characters. So what the character in my story, one of them is a NBA player, a forced retired NBA player. And so I had to put on my special edition, one of a kind, Kobe Bryant Mamba Out t-shirt. This shirt was only sold on his website after he retired. He played his retirement game on my birthday. So I
That
had to
part.
get the shirt. That part. I
Like
had.
that.
So, Crystal, what is the title of your book? Who wrote it? Who narrated?
Okay, so my book is Bali Blue from Miss Cher Terais. We did interview her on the show, and I think this was my best, frenemies to lovers book that I've read so far this year. And then of course I love to travel. She loves to travel. It was some traveling in this book, so of course I picked it. I did a shirt that's it took me a minute to figure it out. I don't, you know what? I realized I don't have any blue shirts, so now I got to add some blue shirts to my wardrobe and any reason to shop. So I put on the shirt. It's like a little green, but on the front of it it says nature, nurture. Okay, nature and nurture.
Okay.
So once I talk about the book, you'll see why you want to nature and nurture, because this book did have a little bit of nature in it, and it did have a little bit of nurture in it. And I was like, light bulb, put it on. There we
Light
go.
bulb, put it on. Well, I'm gonna
Yeah.
show the cover of your book and then of my book out, and I want everyone to see it so they can get the full view. So
Yes.
here we go. That is Bali by Cher Terais, who was a pleasure to interview.
She
And
definitely was.
I felt like I was talking to a travel guide the entire time.
Right.
That is that for her. And my book is When We by Casey Mills. And that is the full cover by that, narrated by one of our two of our faves who we had the pleasure of interviewing, Miss Lacey Laurel
Yes.
and Mr. Midnight Michael, who was on here recently acting up, cutting up in these
Yes.
streets. Okay,
Because he's an actor.
Exactly, because he's an actor.
Because he's an actor. Yes.
Because I'm an actor, right?
Yep. Yep.
Actor, right?
Actually, my book was narrated because I listened to it. You know, you guys, I like to listen. I gotta find my written shirt. I gotta find it. But
Yes.
I like to listen. So my book was narrated by Tree Taylor and Sean Moore. Sean Moore was a new narrator to me. But Tree Taylor is my girl. I love her voice.
Yes,
So,
we love Tree.
Yeah.
We love
Yeah,
Tree.
we
He's
love
been
her
on the
Tree.
show too.
Yes.
Absolutely. So I'm gonna start it off. I'm gonna kick it on off with about when we go good enemies, frenemies to lovers. So here is the synopsis, you guys. Publicist, NBA player, career-ending injury, family secret, undeniable attraction. Whew. This is the quote that she took from the book. And y'all gonna see why. I was like, okay, Law. So main characters are Law and Zori. This quote is from Law. She could have every piece of my soul, even the ones that were broken and unsure, because I knew she would never mishandle any part of me. Oh, come on, Law.
Oh, that's so cute.
Now, I'm gonna go back. Law was an asshole. Law was an asshole. Law was one of those people who, when you first met him, he was just, you felt like he was a menace to society. Like, his attitude sucked. He was always staying in trouble. Drama followed him every step of the way. And this all happened because he had a career injury. And so they were trying to, like clean up his image, his publicist company, PR agency. They were trying to like clean up his image so that he could still have a life, a career after his injury, right? But he was so like down in the dumps and woe is me about his career ending that he just kind of kept putting himself in these crazy situations. And it was to the point he had ran through every publicist in the PR agency. Nobody wanted to work with him. And so,
because I'm about to say, when you said ran through, I had to see which ran through you was talking about. But okay. Okay.
So he was running through, but not the people at the agency. He was running through some folks, but not the people at the agency.
Got you.
And so he ran off everybody. Let's say it like that. He ran off everybody who wanted to work.
Ran through is totally different nowadays.
Listen, and the truth be told, he might have been running through. We might just to get that part of the story.
Yep.
So, because he sure ran through some folks as well, okay? Because he was the resident bad boy. So you think. And so he ends up with this new publicist who is really trying to make a name for herself and come up. And so she's just like, I don't want to do this. And her boss is basically like, hey, you go prove your weight. You gotta you gotta handle it. You gotta make it work. So she does, and she is not to be deterred. Let me tell you something. Zora was like, I don't care nothing about your attitude and what you think and what how you feel about me in this situation. Because here's the tea. Either you gonna make this work or you gonna lose this agency and you gonna be trying out here fighting these streets to get your own career on the line. So I ain't happy. So she put her foot down with Law and he did not like it. Like he did everything possible to push her away until he realized she just wasn't going nowhere. So
Right.
when he realized she wasn't going nowhere, that's when things really opened up for them. Like it was, she got to understand there were other things behind it. He had some family history stuff that was his dad. If Law was an asshole, he got it from him. Like
Mm.
the apple fell from the tree, but like the daddy was he was a whole apple shade tree, okay? Law might have been one apple, but his daddy was a whole tree of it, okay? He was ridiculous. And I can't ooh, Lord have mercy. I don't know. It's only a few characters that I've read that I absolutely loathe. Like I wish the author would have taken them out, and they didn't get taken. His daddy was one.
Mm.
His daddy was one.
Not the daddy.
The daddy was definitely one that should have been like something should have happened to him. I would have rejoiced in the streets if something had happened to his daddy. And so his daddy was
Dirt
god
daddy.
awful, god awful, treating him and his brother like the entire family. He treated them like
Mm.
and but was expected of them to be there for him, and to do things for him like as
The
Miss
audacity.
girl, as Miss Tab said recently, his daddy had a nerve, and all he had was nerve. Okay, it was.
Mm.
Mm, mm. So you get to learn this side, and you kind of see like where some of this attitude and stuff is coming from because he don't trust people. Because if you can't trust your parents, it's like how can you really trust other people? And then you see that he's still trying to deal with feeling unloved and unwanted, and basketball was his thing. Like that was the thing that kept him together, and to lose that in such a dramatic and abrupt way, it really bothered him. And so when you got to the root of that, then you got to understand, okay, he's not really this way. He's just acting out because he doesn't know how to rechannel and redirect his life right now. And
Right.
so that's what Zori tapped into with Law. And when she did, baby, um, she was gonna remain professional, right? Because even though she was attracted to Law because she got to see these different sides of him, she was like, no. But Law said, I don't find somebody who loving on me, and I'm gonna love on them, and I'm gonna you mind in your mind,
There we go.
your mind, the push, the pull, the tug, but the way listen when he committed to her, like all of that channel energy into being an asshole, it was like it went into something positive towards her, and he became her protector, her shield, her like it was he mm, mm.
Okay.
The way he loved up on her. So I'm just gonna tell you, it is just Zori is black girl magic 100,000%, and Law is just this bad boy who's not really a bad boy, who just needs somebody to love him right because he got all the love in the world to give. And he gives it. He really, really does. I love this book. This is a great frenemies slash enemies to lovers story. Lacey Laura, Midnight Michael did a thing, honey. They did their thing narrating this book, and Casey Mills did her thing writing it. I absolutely love it. It's available on Audible, and I believe it's also available in ebook as well. But if you have not read it, please pick it up. It is a standalone, so you don't have to worry about it being a series or anything like that. But a great, one of the best frenemies to lovers stories I've read. So When we.
Ooh, and I have it, so I got to read it because I definitely want to listen to Midnight Michael. You know, he's becoming a fast favorite of mine. Him, Mal, Sean. You know, I'm trying to add more to my repertoire. You know, Jacoby is just the GOAT, so he's gonna always be my favorite.
Yes,
So,
Jacoby is
you
gonna
know, I'm
always
excited.
be like,
I'm excited about that. Okay,
yes.
so my book is Bali Blue, and I'm gonna read you the synopsis. So this is an enemies to lovers romance, and it's called a wanderlust romance. Of course, wanderlust, travel, you know, travel the world. You just got a hankering for traveling, and that is me, and that's what drove me into this book. Okay, so Rianne hoped Valley's serene blue waters would heal her shattered heart. After her marriage crashed and burned, she packed up and flew to Bali. Instead of healing, she's met with a headache, Kendrick. He's all smoldering challenged with an arrogance that rivals her ex. Then an earthquake shakes things up, forcing them to share space. And miss moonlight nights and turquoise waters, their flared words turn into passionate kisses. It does. Bali sunsets paint the sky, but their explosive chemistry sets the horizon ablaze. The tropical heat has nothing on the sparks between these two in Bali. Can the sultry island rendezvous turn into a full blown love affair? Okay, so like I said, you know, Rianne went to Bali to basically, it was kind of like a twofold of why she went to Bali. So the first one is she just ended her marriage and she needed somewhere to go to relax, to reset, to get herself back together.
Mm-hmm.
And also it was a school there and they needed some help with the children. So she kind of volunteered to do that. So she was teaching, you know, working with kids, excuse me, and also just relaxing, just exploring the beautiful island, the beautiful waters, meeting the locals, just loving Bali. And then an earthquake hits. So when the earthquake hits, Kendrick is a structural engineer. So they called the best in to help them rebuild the area. And they meet. They didn't meet on the best of terms from the beginning. And that kind of put a sour taste in her mouth and a sour taste in his mouth. Now, he was a grumpy, arrogant person, but he kind of was careful with getting in relationships with women. One, because of his ex, and two, he's a single dad.
Yes.
I'm not. Yeah, he's a single dad. Her mom was nowhere around, but he had help with his aunt was helping him with his daughter because he did travel a lot to work on, like I said, impossible buildings that needed to be built throughout the world. So that was his job. So he was based in one city. She was based in Atlanta. I can't remember the city he was based in, but she was based in Atlanta. So they, like I said, they met here. They kind of butted heads at first. And then, you know, one day it was like, let's hang out. Then let's go to dinner. So then you got to see their relationship developing. And it was so beautiful because he started letting his guards down and was like, oh, I can do this. And she felt the same way, you know, because like I said, she had a bad marriage. Now, we thinking it's hot and heavy, they gonna be together and all this stuff, and bam, something happens.
Mm-hmm.
He stood her up. It wasn't she stood him up. He stood her up. Now, there was a reason why he stood her up.
Yep.
And because the phones and the communication was bad there, he did, and then he had to leave so fast, he didn't get a chance to tell her what happened. So here it is. He never came back. He never reached back out. Her vacation is over, so she goes back to Atlanta. Now, let me just say, the way Cher Terais put them back in each other's vicinity was
Yes,
so cute. It was
it
like
really was.
simple, but it was so cute. So, like I said, we're seeing them now living their day to day life, and you know she's kind of blown. Like he carried her. Yes, I said he carried her. He didn't show up. Now their relationship is over with, and oh my gosh, what I'm gonna do? And he's now thinking about her. Like she was in his mind, but the situation he had going on at home was like forefront. And that situation was the aunt that helps him with his daughter actually got sick. And he had to rush home because it was nobody but him, his daughter, and her. So the daughter called him frantic and he had to leave. So it wasn't like he left to go be with another woman or he just carried her. No, he had a situation. So let's fast forward. I can't remember how long it was, but Kendrick showed up in Atlanta.
Yes, it is.
For work.
Yes,
it wasn't because he wasn't sure what city she lived in because I think they never really talked about where they both, home was. So he showed up in Atlanta. They ran into each other, which was so cute. I love that they were able to be adults, and even though they were mad at each other, but they were able, well, she was more so mad at him, but they were able to be adults and have a conversation on what happened. He explained everything. So then we got to see them. Okay, let's go ahead and give this a try. So throughout the book, like I said, he was a grumpy grump. And I mean, I kind of agree why. Like the person who birthed his child just wasn't the person who he thought she was. So that kind of put a sour taste in his mouth. And then, how we as women, we don't want to bring every man that we deal with around our kid and vice versa. He was that way too, because he's raising a daughter. So he didn't want to just bring any woman around her. So he was mindful on what he did, who he brought around his daughter, who she got to see. And his daughter was like, Dad, I'm getting older. It's time for you to find someone to make you happy. So I love that we got to see them having a long distance relationship for minutes. And after a while, he was like, nah, I'm not going to keep on doing this. So they became a bi-coastal family.
Yep.
And I loved it because I'm so mad I can't remember where he was originally from. But, like they would spend some of their time in Atlanta and then they would spend some of their time where he lived. And then that's how their dynamics work. Because like I said, with the type of job he had to travel. So that was what he did. But this was definitely a great story. We got to see Bali through the author's eyes because she's a big traveler. So just seeing Bali through her eyes, I mean, seeing the kids there, the locals, it was so pretty to watch.
She brought us into the world.
She definitely did. She definitely did. And Tree, oh my gosh, delivered. Right.
As always, per usual.
Yes, I mean, like she was so perfect for her. And Sean Moore was new to me. It took me a minute to get used to him narrating for me, but after a while, I was like, okay, I'm kind of digging him. So I'm gonna have to look for another book by him that he's narrating to make sure, like, okay, I will listen to books that he do. Because, like I said, it wasn't like instant, like, oh, I gotta listen to another one. Now I'm not gonna sit here and lie, it wasn't. But I loved this story. This is the first book in her Wanderlust series because she actually just dropped her book Tempest. Well, no, Tempest in Tulum is not dropped yet, but that is coming out as part of the Wanderlust series. But the second book is Mess on the Mara. So you definitely want to check it out. And you will see a little bit of Rianne in Mess on the Mar because there was a part in Bali Blue when she was sitting at the airport before she went to Bali and she met Mara and they were having a conversation. So I love that she kind of intertwined the books like that. But if you want to see the world without kind of really traveling the world, pick this up because anything by Cher Terais, because like she said, she has a love for traveling, so she puts those in her book. But that's what I had for this book. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It definitely was an enemies to lovers book. I feel like it was a double enemies to lover books because they did like each other at the beginning, and then they started liking each other, and then he messed up, and then now it's back to just you left, and you think I'm going to just give it back up to you? No. Yeah. Oh, and the sex was sexting.
Yes, it was. Hey.
It was. So definitely enjoyed this book, but I love now, like I said, I'll explain the nature to nurture because we got a little bit of the nature in there with the earthquake, and then the nurture is them building back up the area that it affected. There was a scene in there, I just want to say this and then I'm going to stop. But there was a scene in there that this is what sealed it for me for Kendrick. So while they were at the school, the hospital, that's when the earthquake hit.
Mm-hmm.
And they had to go in because so I was like, oh my gosh. So Rianne was there with the kids on a tour, and Kendrick, I think, was he? Yeah, he was on his way there because it was like the first earthquake, and then it was like another, like another little one. What they call it, the after. And they were in the hospital when it happened. So it's all these kids, and it was one little girl that Rianne just was so attached to, and she got separated. And to just see her freak out and be scared because she can't find this little girl, and then Kendrick just like kind of like swoops in to find this little girl. I was just like,
Mm-hmm.
oh my gosh. But yes, I love this story. It was such a beautiful story. So we got our nature and our nurture because
Yes.
the nature affected the story, and the nurture of them putting it back together was a beautiful thing to watch.
It was, and I have also read the story, listened to the story, absolutely loved it as well too. Loved the, like I said, the vision of Bali through Cher Terais' eyes.
Yes.
She definitely if she ever get, went into retirement for writing, she could definitely be, like a travel guide or,
She
all of
really
that
can.
stuff. She really can because she really has a knack for that. Even
Yes.
when we were talking with her on the interview, like when she was talking about places she's been and things like that, it was very, she's very cultured, very well traveled. So it was nice. It was nice and refreshing. I felt like I had toured the world in like an hour.
Right. Yes,
Talking to her.
definitely.
So yeah, I was like, yeah, okay, I know who to call if I need to do research and I can't get them.
That's true.
Terais is an amazing author though. A newer author. So make sure that you do follow her and give her a chance because this book was absolutely fabulous. Um,
Yes.
it was definitely fabulous. And like you said, the narrators did an amazing job on the book, narrating it. We love Tree. Tree is our girl.
Hmm.
So Tree definitely absolutely brought it to life, with the character as well. But yes, great frenemies, enemies to love, but like really enemies enemies because they tried to get along, but they was not clicking at first. Like they was trying to
Nope.
be pleasant with each other, and it was like, okay, you know what? I just don't like you. I don't like you as well.
That part.
but but when you have two people who are like born leaders and born bosses, and they're both kind of trying to do what they're in their own segment and it has to come together and they're not used to working together, that
Yep.
tends to happen. And so that's kind of what happens. But you get to see, like you said, the nurturing side of both of them swoop right in. And that is the part that kind of led them gravitating towards each other, is that they were
Yeah.
able to see the other side of each other. So I love that book too, Crystal. That was a great pick.
Yes.
Woo. And that is what day 4 of our Spirit Week.
Woohoo! We rolling.
Woo-hoo.
We rolling. We rolling.
Woo.
We rolling.
It's Frenemy
Yeah.
Day. Tune back in tomorrow to day 5 because day 5 is definitely our new Bay Day. So we're gonna be talking about a new book day that we have acquired this year that we are
Yeah.
absolutely in love with. And
Yeah.
me and Crystal had to tussle a little bit.
We did.
And
We
tussle.
did.
I came out victorious, but I ain't gonna lie. Her base somebody who I might want, but I'm gonna let her have it for the sake of the show.
Mm-mm. If I can't have yours, you can't have mine.
So I gotta digress. I gotta digress because she sure can have mine.
Mm-hmm.
Look,
Just
and
put,
I'm gonna
just
stick beside
put
him.
me in, Coach. Put me in.
Nope, I'm gonna stick beside him. Okay, I'm gonna stick
Mm-hmm.
beside him. y'all tune in.
I tried, y'all. I tried.
She tried. It not. So
Yep, I tried.
we are going to come back tomorrow for our fifth and final day of Spirit Week called New Bay Day. So make sure y'all come back, tune in, and see what books and what babies you talking about. And until next time, don't forget to get caught up.
Thanks for getting caught up with the Get Caught Up podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe on Spotify, iTunes, or iHeartRadio and leave us a review. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Get Caught Up Podcast and let us know what you think about the show. See you in the next episode.